After 11 weeks of racing in your Skip Barber Championship, we come to round number 12 for the small little Formula 2000 cars, and it's at one of the biggest tracks in North America. This is going to be the final round of the Skip Barber Championship, live from Sebring. Join us in a few moments' time for the 12th round of the championship. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive as coverage begins from the 12th round of your Skip Barber Formula 2000 Championship here on RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive from Sebring International Raceway. Randy Chinnett, Gabe Wood, Hugo Louis bringing you all the action over this 10-lap run here today. And Gabe, these are some little race cars here in the United States. They don't get up to very high speeds, not high levels of downforce, but they're finishing up this 12-round championship on one of the biggest tracks in North America.
Yes, I mean, talk about lack of downforce. The amount of wing we have on this, it's basically equivalent to a blank of wood. I mean, these are some fun cars, and this track has got 16 corners. I do 17 corners, but more importantly, 4 straightaways. It is going to be a Draftmaster Classic here at Sebring for these cars, and it's all fighting for a grand prize. It's a coveted award for these drivers are going after.
It really is. And just to sort of recap the way the prize system works, it goes as follows: season 2, 3, and 4 champions in iRacing in the Skip Barber series. The winners get themselves a one-day racing school at Skip Barber. Top 5 in each of seasons 2, 3, and 4. They go into a runoff. Those 15 drivers, they will then race for a 3-day racing school all in one go. So this is taking better part of a year to pan out, and here comes the first third of results. And as we're talking about points, let's just run down your top 5 as they sit. Felipe Bear currently leads the way with about 70 points ahead of Norbert Sulzer in second. Johnny Gundy sits in third, with Arjan de Vries fourth, and Gerardo Babia Ramos in that 5th spot. Interesting to note, though, Cy Andra, Greg Seitz, Joseph Burton Harris, they are all within striking distance of Gerardo Ramos in that top 5. I think that really racing for this championship, for the most part, Gabe, is pretty much said and done. Sulzer has 70 points he has to try to reel in on Lambert, which he might be able to do today, but keep in mind, they'll still be able to race throughout the week, so not everything's said and done if there's an outperformance just here today. But right now, if you're Andra, Seitz, Harris, Ramos, even de Vries, you have a lot to race for in this 10-lap race.
And it's going to go by very quickly for these drivers. And, you know, the one thing these guys are going to have to look out for, once a driver starts pulling away from them, it's going to be just a split second that they can catch and use their speed. You know, somebody like Lambert, he's looking like he's going to start on the pole for today's race. But if he starts slipping back, he's got just a few seconds to use his speed to catch up to the drivers in front of him, because if not, they're going to draft away from it. It can slip away from you very quickly, and it's almost impossible to catch up.
it can be difficult to catch back up here. Now let's take a look at some of your qualifying times. Philippe Bear, as Gabe alluded to, currently quick time with his 2 minutes 24.681. Second place currently held by Dennis Johansson. That's a 2 minutes 24.756, only 7/100ths of a second separating those two drivers. Then you have Adam Rylance, Gerardo Ramos, and Andrew Picario rounding out your top 5. Some quick drivers who are expecting still to put in some good laps. Yanni Gundi, he's currently on his second lap. Lap number 1 was invalidated. Here actually Yanni comes through Sunset Bend, the final corner out here on the racetrack. Very, very bumpy, this part of the track, and a very unique line you'll see drivers take. And as Gundi comes down the front straightaway now in that number 3 machine, is this lap going to count? Across the line he comes, 2:24.2, 4/10 of a second ahead of Philippe Bear, who also gets jumped by Gerardo Ramos, Gabe.
And Philippe Lebert jumps to P2. Another quick time there on his third lap, or excuse me, his second lap. He picks up about 4/10 of a second and ends up getting to the first row of the grid in the second spot. But he's still got a 3/10 of a gap to Johnny Gundi. It is going to be one heck of a race. These drivers are close. I mean, most of the splits, you see 3, 4, 5 seconds between your first to even your 10th place driver. Here, it is a 2-second gap between your top 18, the entire field.
And with that qualifying score complete, drivers' 2 allotted laps as well as the 8-minute time that they have to get them in is now completed. So now for the 12th and final time of Season 2, let's go down your starting grid here at Sebring. Yanni Gundi, as we said, comes away with the pole, nearly 3/10 of a second ahead of Philippe Bear. Gerardo Ramos, he slots himself in third, and starting alongside him is Dennis Johansson. Road number 3 is going to be Adam Rylance and Greg Seitz. We've seen them have strong seasons. How will they do in the final round at this bumpy Sebring circuit? Justin Tipton, Andrew Picario, then Jesus Martin Tamiro and Cy Andra, they round out your top 10. Paul Klopp and Carlos Urias Sainz make up the 6th row, followed by Christian Campanga and Joseph Burton Harris, Justin Smith and Jordi Clara 15th and 16th, with Adam Blocker and Brian Kelly rounding out the 18-car field today. Gabe, bumpy track, long straights, what are you expecting?
I'm expecting a mad dash to get into the drafting positions, get as many positions as they can in really the first few corners, the first few straightaways. It's going to be a mad dash down to turn number 1, even that, because these drivers, cars take off. They're about the slowest launching cars that the iRacing surface has, except maybe possibly the Pontiac Solstice.
Yeah, the Solstice is going to give it a good run for its money.
About the same speed.
Yeah, these cars don't get off the line very quick.
But when they take off, and when they get toward turn number 1, it's going to be a mad dash. I mean, they're all going to be at the same speed.
So grid is set, engine revs building, green flag waves, and Yanni Gundi is going to try to break away early on the quick run down to corner number 1. But however, behind him in second, Philippe Bear, he gets a good jump as well, and Gerardo Ramos should be able to slot himself into the 3rd spot. But he has for company on the outside Dennis Johansson, Adam Rylance, and Greg Seitz as they work through corner number 1. Also forming out side by side, Justin Tipton and Andrew Picario through that bumpy corner number 1. Now things narrow up on the run into corners number 2 and 3, and this is when things get very, very tight. Left-hander, right-hander, left-hander. You need to get single file. We see 1 car off, likely a bit of contact. 2 cars off, actually, in the back. Who is that? Carlos Urias Sainz was off track, as well as Jordi Clara as well.
13 and Clappy with some damage as well. We're going to go back to your leaders. Yanni Gundi still out front in that 3, but here comes Lebert ups, maintaining that 2nd spot, but right on that gearbox of that number 1 machine, and they're all getting single file here in the first few corners, now heading through the back part of the circuit, and now they're going to get onto these drafting sections, these short little straightaways. It's going to be just see who can gain the momentum, who can get past, and who can keep from getting past. It's really going to be draft and block for the next 10 laps.
Cy Andra, one of the cars we currently have on pit lane with damage, likely all already out of this motor race because of the slow lap times. Also another car on pit lane, like you said, that is Paul Clape. Fight for the lead though, somewhat building up, and here's the lead pack as they run in order. Yanni Gundi as they come through towers. Yanni Gundi, Philippe Bear, Gerardo Ramos, Dennis Johansson, Adam Rylance, Greg Seitz, Andrew Picario, Justin Tipton, Justin Tamiro, pretty much all in a row, getting replays of your start here and the tight conditions that you always get here at Sebring. That's one of the things this track is famous for. Very, very wide front straightaway that really tightens up on the run into corners number 2 and 3. Lead pack though getting ready to come down onto this back straightaway for the first time, and Gundy leads. This is going to be pretty much the primary drafting opportunity you see. You have some other high-speed sections as well, the run into corner number 1 and the run into the hairpin, but for now Yanni Gundy, he's going to have to fight back from Philippe Lebert, who looks up the inside into corner number 17, and Lebert, well, he's got it done before they ever get to braking zone to move that 2 machine up into the lead spot, and he gets a little bit loose, and through this final corner at Sunset Bend, Gabe, look at all the different lines some of these drivers take. Everyone has a different way of how they like to navigate the bumps through that final corner here at Sebring.
And if you look right there, Gerardo Ramos, he almost caught those top 2 leaders as they broke the draft and started trying to pass each other. He played it smart and pulled back in line, but that's going to check up the rest of the field. He's got the 6 behind him with Dennis Johansson, and then you got Adam Rylands behind them. So the top 5 under a blanket here, and pretty much the rest of the field too. Want to go back, it looked like Clappy and Sainz actually got together as Sainz on the early going. We showed the replay of the start. Looks like he just locked up the brakes there on the entry, and it was 2 separate incidences that caused the incidents. Oh, Lebert, he's off the racetrack in the early stages of the second lap. He ends up getting it back on.
Yeah, slight mistake from Lebert coming out of that second segment of the racetrack. Now on the braking zone into the hairpin. They're going to stay single file. Adam Rylands looks to make a move down the inside of Dennis Johansson. He's going to get that job done. Move Dennis Johansson up a spot. Move Adam Rylands up a spot up into P number 4. Johansson as well now going to have to defend from Greg Seitz. He's going to want to make a move. He's seen Seitz be quick all season long. Now down towards this tight little right-hander. And everyone's going to get single file, Gabe, and that's what we expect. Not really much room, even in these narrow little Formula 2000 cars, to stay side by side to these sections of the racetrack and the run into tower.
It's like Rylands and Johansson battling side by side, or at least they were, but they settled it out. Johansson falls back into that 5th spot. 2, 3 drivers off track. Lebert, he makes another mistake, but this time it may cost him, because here they come into the mall section. It's going to be close, but he's going to end up tucking right back in behind. Lebert, if he wants to win this race and this championship, he's going to have to keep it on track, because eventually those mistakes are going to cost him.
We've seen mistakes kind of define this championship thus far, and currently as they run, top 5, top 6, all in a line, top 7 in fact, all in a row here. So one mistake could see you drop a few positions. Now it's going to be a role reversal. Yanni Gundy's going to look to the inside of Philippe Lebert, complete opposite of what we saw last time around. And again, Gundy's going to have the spot before they ever get to the braking zone. Gundy again kicks loose the same way Lebert did when he made that move. And is Gundy going to be able to get a good run off the corner? You see him running about a car width up the racetrack from where Lebert was, and that's fine. There are several lines through that final corner here at Sebring, but Lebert's going to fight back on the run into corner number 1, and Ramos is going to try to follow suit as well. Down the quick run into corner number 1, and Lebert down the inside is going to regain the race lead. However, is he going to be able to track out and get a good exit? Yes, he will. Gundy's going to saw into line, but Ramos is fighting with Johansson now, who tried to take advantage. For the most part, they're going to get themselves back single file before they get to turn 3.
On to the 3rd lap here into this first section. Left, right, and then back to left. It's going to be a little bit tight here. I thought I saw couple of these drivers start getting a little close, but now you're seeing the 2 fastest drivers. They've been swapping back and forth, starting to bridge just a little bit of gap here over 3rd. Can Ramos bridge that gap there with Johansson behind him? And Rylands, can he get up there? And there goes Philippe Lebert to the lead again. Can he, Gundy into the lead. He lost the lead there in the first corner. He gets it back through the 2nd segment.
A good well done by Yanni Gundy. Philippe Lebert definitely made it easy on him, but the problem is now Lebert has Ramos for company as they run into Cunningham. Cunningham is a potential passing opportunity, but Ramos not close enough, didn't have the run as they work now through Cunningham towards Collier, and then through turns 12 and then in towards turn 13 at Tower. Yanni Gundy continuing to lead the way. This part of the racetrack very, very awkward because at the apex.
Oh, Lebert kicks it sideways.
Lebert gets
the dirt again.
Lebert does get a little bit loose and runs wide, and now he's going to have Ramos for company in towards Bishop, and now that's going to give a little bit of a gap to Yanni Gundy. Up ahead, Now hard into the braking zone goes Ramos in towards Bishop. He's not going to be able to get the job done just yet. And now as they go into the braking zone for Le Mans, you see drivers swinging out to drivers left, trying to straighten out that 16th turn at Le Mans as much as they can. LeBert again pushes wide, fighting the understeer on that number 2 machine. And now he's going to lead the pack. It's going to be a bit of a gap to Yanni Gundi up in front, but does LeBert sniff the draft just out ahead.
These guys are going to start catching them, but who makes their move when it happens? A good run by LeBert into the final corner into Sunset. Oh, he's had a good corner and a good exit to boot here coming on to lap number 4. It's going to be a little bit closer. He's caught him by about 3 or 4 car lengths there in just that one corner alone. And really your top 3 have now spread out equally. Looks like now Ramos trying to break the draft to Johansson. He realizes he's going to have to start racing him, and really him alone, if he can't get side by side with these leaders. Haven't seen Ramos be that aggressive, and that may come into play here in the later stages, but they're almost side by side into this first section. Johansson backs off of it, and that's going to bring Rylance back into this.
Ramos, I think, being a little bit over defensive at the moment. He's worried about his mirrors when he needs to be worried about what's happening out in front of him. That's going to allow Philippe Lebert to stretch a bit of a gap. And we saw last time these 2 teammates of Yanni Gundi and Philippe Lebert swap spots as they went into the hairpin. Does it happen again? No, Lebert doesn't have the run, so they're going to stay in line. Second pack of cars, Ramos, Johansson, Rylance, Seitz, Precario, they're going to all stay in line as well as they work through the hairpin. You got 2 more cars as well trailing behind. Just Joseph Burton Harris as well as Justin Tipton now on the run towards Cunningham. You see Lebert offsetting himself, but I don't think he's going to be able to get a run as Ramos continues to try to defend from Johansson. And while defending like that, Gabe, you're going to break the draft maybe to a certain extent, but if you're Ramos, all you're also doing is you're going to lose that draft from Lebert out in front of you as well.
Yeah, and it makes it even worse. You have 2 teammates in front of you. They're riding single file. Lebert had an opportunity to get past, but he's not taking it. They're trying to pull away. They're trying to control this race here, getting close to halfway. And you see Lebert pull out just a little bit. He's breaking the draft, getting that air. But now they're going to fall back single file. Ramos, whenever he ducks out, breaks that draft, they're just losing 10th after 10th. It looks like it's starting to equal out again.
Into Le Mans now for the 4th time. Going to be coming to lap number 5. And actually, we had a little bit of a mistake deeper in the field. That was Joseph Burton Harris. We saw go wide through corners number 14 and 15. Way off on driver's left. He should get a black flag for that. And yes, he will. That number 8 machine has a slowdown. Looking back out front, though, Gundy's going to retain the lead. Philippe Lebert not able to get the run, and Ramos, he's just going to slot into the 3rd place for now. He does have a little bit of a gap to Dennis Johansson. And the thing is, Gabe, with these race cars, these little race cars on this big racetrack, it is almost going to feel a bit like a Talladega or Daytona situation for, say, a NASCAR Cup car, or really any of the NASCAR stock cars for that matter. It's not necessarily do you get to the front as quickly as you can. It's where do you place yourself on the final lap to make the move. Being in first coming out of the final corner, or even the penultimate corner, may not be the favorable position as they work through turn 1 again.
No, and it's really circumstantial who you work with and who you're around in the closing laps, because if you finally get past a driver, but then you realize that driver's faster than you and you start racing, you're losing time 10th after 10th, and you're going to lose as Ramos gets just a little bit loose there in front of Johansson. But you start racing the driver that you've been racing all race with, but he's been in front of you and that driver's faster. You're going to start trying to push yourself like really Ramos has been doing, but he's been shown he's been faster than Dennis Johansson. But, you're going to start losing 10th after 10th, and those 2 leaders are going to start pulling away. And it's really the same thing at Daytona and Talladega with the NASCAR Cup cars, Xfinity. You start side drafting, and that main pack just starts pulling away into the distance.
We saw a couple little mistakes coming out of turn 5 from a handful of these cars. These drivers are really pushing it. And turn 5 at Sebring, somewhat awkward camber, and because of that, really, really common to see cars push wide on the exit. But now, for the 5th time, they work their way towards Cunningham and up towards Tower. Excuse me, through Collier and up towards Tower. Now through this awkward right-hander where just at the apex it changes to concrete, and there's a bump at the apex as well. Really upsets the balance of the car. One of the most difficult corners in the world, hands down. And now the run in towards Bishop. This quick double left-hander, then it's immediately going to be on the brakes, down a couple of gears. Everyone's going to stay single file. You can sling it past this part of the racetrack, but no one yet in a position to do so. As we come on to the long back straight, Gabe, I have to say, I think LeBaer is in prime position, if he wants to take the lead back from Yanni Gundy.
But does he want to at this stage? We're going to get to the halfway point here this time by when they come back to the start-finish line after sunset. When, you know, you compare it to Talladega, he's almost ducking out, but it looks like he's just trying not to let off the gas and keep the RPMs up. But you compare it to Talladega, as an early braking from Gundy checks up the entire field, checks up your top four. Top four have now pulled away by about half a second over Adam Rylance. But here comes, that's Ramos to the inside. He's got a little bit of a run, but it's going to peter out by the time he gets to the start-finish line. Here comes LeBaer to the inside. It's a four-wide battle for the lead as they go into one. LeBaer gets the lead, and Ramos to the side, and LeBaer off into the grass.
LeBaer pushes wide on the exit of one, but he takes the lead in this contact behind, and Gundy gets tagged from the 4th place runner. That was actually Dennis Johansson who got into him. Ramos able to slip through. As now Gundy going to try to recover. He's going to slot into the 3rd spot, but how much damage is going to be on that car? Ramos slips into 2nd, and Felipe Bear gets a little bit of a buffer out in front at the halfway point. We've seen it all season long. LeBaer be able to come back and be able to take advantage of others' mistakes, and Gabe has just happened to get at Sebring.
And who would have thought it would have been his teammate who he was racing so clean with? He just got booted from behind. It almost took out both of them. Now Rylance is now back there, Gundy is back there racing with his other teammates there in Rylance and Seitz. So it's going to be, a mad dash to even try and get formed up and ride single file to even catch LeBaer at this point as they're closing in on the finish of this race. And looks like Ramos is actually making a tough fight for that 2nd spot. He almost gets into the side there, wheel tapping there as they exit the corner.
That he does, but Yanni Gundy is going to slip back into the 2nd spot. Ramos not having good pace at the moment. Dennis Johansson might look to take advantage of this as well. You also have Rylance and Seitz trying to take advantage side by side into Bishop, and this is what I was talking about. You can make passes work at this end of the racetrack. Dennis Johansson goes to driver's left, and Ramos, though, is going to be able to maintain the momentum. Little bit of contact, and Ramos is going to retain that 3rd position for now, but Felipe Bear out in front has himself roughly a 1 second advantage over Gundy, Ramos, and Johansson. Now Ramos, who I think has a little bit of aero damage affecting the top speed of that car. Here comes Johansson up the inside of that number 1 machine. Adam Rylance is going to follow suit on the run down into Sunset Bend. And now through the right-hander, the 6th machine is going to pick up the spot. Rylance is going to get back single file. Greg Seitz follows suit as well. How is Ramos going to fight back with an impaired car on top speed?
You take a car with absolutely no downforce, and you're taking away that downforce. That car has got to be an absolute beast for Yanni Gundy in that 3 machine. And here comes Dennis Johansson to the outside. Yep, that aero damage. These cars are pretty much spec. You can't really do much on the setup wise. So that was just the damage that allowed Johansson to catch him there on that front straightaway going into 1.
We just had an awesome save from the 1 machine of Eduardo Ramos as they went through corner number 1. That 1 machine definitely has a bit of damage, kicked loose, and he almost spun off onto the grass. He lost a bunch of spots. However, we're going to ride on board with him through corner number 1, and you just see that back end just start to kick out, and you see him just start sawing at the wheel, trying to save it. The likes of Andrew Picario and Greg Seitz did a great job avoiding him, and Ramos, fantastic job keeping that yellow number 1 machine out of the wall.
And while all this happening behind, LeBaer pulls out to a 2-second lead, or at least it was last time by. He's going to come to 3 laps to go when he comes by the start-finish line next time. It's pretty much LeBaer's race to lose now, as these drivers still, Johansson, Gundy, and throw in Ramos and Rylance. They're all fighting for the same spot. It's going to get really difficult here for these drivers to catch them up.
That it is. Yanni Gundy sits himself out. Last time around, the stripe is a 1.8 second advantage, but the way now these drivers are fighting, it might get to a lot less than that. Right now, though, the teammates have 3 of the top 4 positions sorted. LeBaer in 1st, Gundy 3rd, Rylance 4th. It's actually 4 of the top 5 as well. Right now, the person really breaking that team momentum up is the second place runner currently of Dennis Johansson. These guys trying to reel in the leader of Felipe Bear as they work themselves through 16 at Le Mans down the back straightaway again. Going to be coming to 3 laps to go at the stripe. Gap still 1.8 seconds, and let's see if it gets any closer across the line. Gundy looks for the second spot over Johansson, and I don't think Johansson's really going to fight him for it here as they work through this final corner. And yeah, that's exactly what happens. Johansson just slots into third, and he actually tries to get a bit of a run on the number 3 of Yanni Gundy to come back down your front straightaway. They're going to be side by side across your start finish line, but Gundy's going to have the inside into corner number 1. This is going to allow Rylance to maybe work the draft. Do we see 3 wide into corner number 1? No, not yet. Rylance says it's too early. But Gundy down the inside here at corner number 1, and that's usually the optimal line through. However, Johansson's fighting back hard on the outside, and because of that, Gundy can't track out the way he would normally want. Again, though, he has the inside line into corner number 3, and he's going to be able to slot now into that second position comfortably. Johansson slots back into third game.
Yep, Johansson had to just back out of that corner there as they entered that on the entry. I thought he was going to try and contest it, but he ended up trying to flick the car to get a great exit. And looks like he's actually getting it with the damaged car of Gundy. And he's actually getting past him on the straightaway as they go into the corner. And while they're still swapping positions, they're kind of drafting up to each other and passing. And that's allowing them to catch Felipe Bear. It could be a decent race here for that victory in the next few laps.
So 2.5 or so laps left in this race at Sebring. See everyone on the run down into Cunningham yet again. Now through this tight section here at Collier, this part of the racetrack, so slick for these guys. Now down into Tower, and everyone's going to stay somewhat line astern. And you talked about the damage on that number on that number 3 machine of Yanni Gundy, Gabe. Yeah, that car is damaged, but the way he worked that pass coming out of into the final corner and then down the front straightaway, 0.03 of a second was the margin, and Yanni Gundy had won out there over Dennis Johansson. Little bit of damage on that number 3 machine. However, he can fight back for that second spot, and he might be able to just snag it.
We go to the back section of the course, past the DRS marker boards. That gap coming down. Yanni Gundy still in tow from Dennis Johansson in that second spot as they come here on lap number 8, going to lap number 9 here in just a few moments. Felipe Bear continues to lead. Rylance in that 4th spot, so it's teammates 1, 3, and 4. May as well throw the 5th place driver in there as well. So 4 teammates against 1 privateer in Dennis Johansson.
So now coming across the stripe, 2 laps to go here at Sebring, and LeBear continues to have a comfortable lead. However, it's come down the last handful of laps, down to 1.3 seconds on the racetrack, and he has to be careful because if the gap comes down much more, that'll give that second pack of cars his draft, and his lead will be eliminated. However, they're going to have to do all of that pretty much, I think, before the final straightaway here on this lap. LeBear very sideways through second segment of the racetrack through turns 3, 4, and 5, but he gets a good exit. Much better, I'd say, than the likes of Johansson, Gundy, and Rylance, so he's going to be stretching a bit of a lead through there. Through the exit of Big Ben on the run down now into corner number 7 at the hairpin, and no one's going to slot out to make a move just yet. And Gabe, this is a question you have to ask yourself, I think, if you're driving these cars. When do you make your move? Do you try to get the position now, or do you wait and only give yourself potentially 1 or 2 opportunities on the final lap?
Well, I think if I was Gundy in that 3rd spot, I would wait and see what Johansson could do because he's slowly been reeling him in. And if he can get there by the last lap, I would wait till the last lap to make my move for that 2nd spot. Because if I could see that Johansson is giving me a chance to catch and pass my teammate for the victory in the last race of the year, I'm going to wait and see because it's slowly coming down. But once he realizes, he's not going to catch him, I think that's when you're going to start seeing the aggressiveness pick up. But Johansson, he's got to look out because now the dog can see the rabbit. He's slowly catching him. But when you do that, when you start running harder and harder, trying to catch the leader, you're prone to making more mistakes. And we've seen that throughout the night. We've seen it.
Now out of corner number 16 for the penultimate time. These drivers now, the second group of cars has to work together, but Dennis Johansson makes a mistake. Gabe, you're absolutely right. You start pushing, you're prone to make mistakes, and now, like the Yanni Gundy, Adam Rylands, Greg Seitz, are going to want to pounce on that number 6 TNT machine driven by Dennis Johansson. The 3 of Gundy looks to the inside for the penultimate time into the final corner, and he's going to pick up the second spot for now. But we saw last time through, Johansson worked the cut back, and that 3 machine couldn't defend.
Crossover.
This time, Gundy defends the crossover, though, as they come down the start-finish line to get the white flag for the final lap. The 6 of Dennis Johansson looks to the outside on the run into corner number 1. White flag in the air, lap number 10 of 10, and Gundy has the inside line, which is preferred, but the 6 is able to nose ahead, so Johansson might be able to snag the spot through the bumpy turn number 1, and the 3 machine gets good traction down on the bottom. Now, through the short chute, through this tight little corner number 2 and 3 complex, Johnny Gundy has the line, and through 3, 4, and 5, it has to be all single file. Gundy has the second spot for now, but will he be able to hold on to it through the rest of the lap? The slipstream going to play so much of a factor here at Sebring now. Through Big Bend and on the run into corner number 7 at the hairpin. Does Johansson make the move now, or does he wait? He's going to look to the outside at the hairpin here at corner number 7. Hard on the brakes they come, and is Adam Rylands going to try to slip up the inside of Dennis Johansson? No, he is not. They're going to stay single file still through the hairpin through these quick little rights and lefts at Fangio, corners number 8 and 9. Pretty much easy flat in these modern race cars, and now on the run into Cunningham. Potential passing opportunity right now. You see that Dennis Johansson harassing the mirrors of Gundy, but not making the move just yet through Cunningham. And from here, everything is single file until you get to the final corner pretty much. Barring a mistake, Yanni Gundy right now has to be absolutely perfect in that lead position. Through Tower Corner, and he gets a good run. Doesn't get upset by the bump at the apex of Tower Corner at turn 13. Puts just a couple tires off into the dirt. Now into Bishop. Quick little double left, and does that 6 machine try to slot it up the inside? No, he's not going to. 2nd through 6th, all sitting single file now. Through right, through the left, and now 2 more corners to go. Lamar is a penultimate one, and it leads to the back straightaway, and Yanni Gundy doesn't get it right. He gets a little bit loose coming through that penultimate corner. Felipe Bear still comfortably ahead. And you see 2nd through 6th all snaking down the straightaway. Everyone wants the draft and everyone wants to break the draft. But here comes Johansson now looking to driver's left, and Rylands is going to surely try to make it 3 wide. No, he doesn't. But Dennis Johansson is going to slot himself into the 2nd spot for now, but will he hold on to it? Gundy pushes wide. He loses 3rd as well. Adam Rylands, though, trying to get the traction on Dennis Johansson, and is he going to be able to get the run coming to the start-finish line? No, he is not. Dennis Johansson on the final lap slots himself into P number 2. Gabe, what a run from 2nd through 6th.
What a run, and Bear gets the victory from a couple early mistakes. He ends up claiming the victory, and what just might be a championship, as he was the leader coming into tonight's race. The driver from Texas walks away with the final victory of what could be the season.
Felipe Bear, great run from him. Of course, I didn't get the winning call. I was too focused happening in that second little battle, but Felipe Bear, as you say, comes away with a 1.2 second advantage over the rest of your field. And with that, let's run down the post-race results from the 10-lap race here today, 18-car grid. Felipe Bear comes away with the win over Dennis Johansson, who had a fantastic battle with Adam Rylands, Yanni Gundy, and Greg Seitz for 2nd position. Andrew Picario, he's going to finish 6th today, with Joseph Burton Harris slotting himself into the 7th spot. Justin Tipton 8th, with Justin Smith 9th, and Gerardo Ramos rounding out your top 10. Jesus Tamario 11th, Christian Capanga 12th, Carlos Sainz 13th, Adam Blocker 14th, Brian Kelly 15th, with Jordi Clara, Cy Andra, and Paul Klappa rounding out the 18-car field today. And we're going to be joined by race winner Felipe Bear. Felipe, what a run that was from you, coming away with a good, strong finish today, coming into this week with the points lead. How confident are you in your ability to close this one out?
Well, I think I'm pretty sure it's in the bag, because there's no way that Norbert, who is in 2nd, can ever catch me. He needs like 330 points for a race win, and that's like a 6,500 strength of field race. So I think it's pretty much impossible.
Now, keeping an eye on that, of course, the Skip Barber Championship and the prize that they have with the one-day racing schools and the three-day racing school. Of course, this is happening over multiple seasons. Going into next season, how much are you going to be running actually in this car, considering you're pretty much getting the job done in season number 1? Is season 2 going to be a bit of a break, or are you going to try to keep your weapons sharp and run through seasons 3 and 4?
Well, of course I'm going to continue racing, but not as intense as this season. I sacrificed a lot of family time for this. And yeah, I want it, so the next 2 seasons I'm going to just support my teammates and in the shootout race, so I'll give it all again.
Well, thanks for joining us, Felipe Bear. Congratulations on the victory. And while we don't want to jinx it and say it too early, by the looks of things, potential congratulations on the championship for season number 2. Those who want to keep tabs with this championship, next week is, of course, week 13, which is going to be an off week for everybody. The season opener for that happens on June 14th at Road Atlanta. That's going to be a 14-lap race in 2 weeks' time. But from everyone here at RaceSpotTV and iRacingLive, from Randy Cheneth, Gabe Wood, and Hugo Louis, thank you for tuning in to season number 2 of the Skip Barber Championship. Join us for next season in a couple weeks' time, and join us in a few moments' time as we go to round number 2 of the chase for your Raven Graphics and eSpeed Contender Series. That's going to be the Glovebox Motorsports race at Watkins Glen. But if you're not going to tune in for that, well, tune in for something else, as there's a lot of interesting stuff happening up and down the weeks. See you then.